Loyal listeners, what is going on? My name is Mitch Gibson. I will be guest hosting the show. Thank you, Jason Cass and the Agency Intelligence team, for allowing me and giving me the platform to share, to discuss, and have conversations with these amazing insurance agents and insurance professionals and all-around business professionals in the insurance world to help bring and give content and give ideas and give stories and have them share their stories to what's make them so successful. I know one thing for me that's changed my world is learning from these other insurance agents in the world. Listening to podcasts like the Jason Cass Agency Intelligence podcast, like listening to Caitlin Agar, The Age of Independence, like listening to Bradley Flowers, like listening to Ryan Hanley. They are the reason why I am so interested in learning more about agents, agencies, principal owners, and the overall insurance industry in a whole. If it wasn't for people like that, young agents like myself, other people might be just getting into the insurance industry, could be blindsided and just not knowing what to expect. So when Cass asked me, and when Cass had me on the show and said, "Hey, Mitch Gibson, I want you to guest host 5 or 6 episodes," I couldn't even think before I said yes, because I know this was something I needed to do. This is something I wanted to do, because at the end of the day, yes, it helps you as a loyal listeners learn, but it also helps me. And that's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about some of the topics I will be having conversations with other agents and other people in the professionally in the insurance industry, just giving the absolute, speaking the truth, giving amazing ideas, sharing their stories of what's made them successful. And even I've got a young guy that's going to come on the show towards the later end of the episodes that I'm going to be guest hosting, and he's going to share his experience of what's helping him knock it out of the park this early, and taking some similar advice that I was given from another agent in the industry that's made me in the last year and a half turn my business and turn my book of business around, and really help me succeed, and really gave me the aspiration, the goals to see what my peak is and where I can be at in 3, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mitch Gibson. I'm with a company called HRM Insurance Services. You might think, where's HRM Insurance Services? It's in a small little town called New Palestine, Indiana. And I'm bringing you all of this content from Indiana. I'm going to be in and out of my house, my studio, wherever it is. But with COVID guidelines and with what we've got going on in this world with coronavirus, I'm going to be bouncing around in places to make sure that I'm providing you with some phenomenal guests and some phenomenal content. But back to myself a little bit. I live in Nicetown, Indiana, work with HRM Insurance Services. I've got 2 beautiful little girls, Brooklyn, who is soon to be 6, and then Hadley, who's 2 years old, little blonde hair, blue eye little girl. The wife and I, Shelby, she is a correctional officer. She is a control sergeant at a prison, not too far away from downtown Indianapolis. I myself, insurance agent. We've been together our whole entire lives. I met her my freshman year of freshman year of high school, and we've been together ever since. We have a beautiful little family, and in our podunk little town of Knightstown, Indiana, where we've recently moved to, we've got 3 beautiful little pygmy goats, 2 dogs, an Australian Shepherd named Ollie, and a Great Dane named Ira. And you might think, wow, he's got a lot of things going on. He's got a lot of cats. He's got a lot of dogs, a lot of goats. He's got all this stuff going on in his life, and he's 25 years old. But if it wasn't for that stuff, I'm a high energy guy. I've always got to be moving. Life's got to be hectic for me to be successful, which may sound weird. And there's a guest that I'm going to have on the show, a guy by the name of Todd Saylor. You'll understand where I'm getting at when I say it's okay to be hectic, because it makes us into the people that we are. But that's not the end of it for us. We've got 3 little kittens. The kittens are more likely to adhere to the house to make sure that we're keeping mice away. But yeah, we do it all out here in the country, and I'm not a farmer by any means, but just because we have goats does not mean we're a farmer. They're cute. They're part of our family, and we are very thankful to have those. I went to high school at Greenfield Central High School, which is in Greenfield, Indiana. A lot of you guys don't know where Greenfield, Indiana is at, which I wouldn't expect you to unless you slid through Indiana or came down I-70 through Indiana. Greenfield's just east of Indianapolis, not too far away from the house where I live or where the agency that I work at. Went to Greenfield Central, where I met Shelby. I went to school there, graduated in 2014. Then I went on to play baseball at Ball State University, where I played for 2 years. Phenomenal time, but then life hit me in the face, and I was actually had our first daughter when I was a freshman in college. So life hit me, and I said you need to kind of grow up a little bit and give yourself a chance to make sure you're successful for you, your family, and giving them the food on the table that they need, and just being that family guy. So I thank the Lord for putting me in the situation that I'm in and that I was back when I was 19 years old and having my first daughter. It really helped me grow up and really helped me kind of put myself in the chair and the shoes that I'm in now. And I'm still not done yet, guys. I'm still got things I want to focus on. There's still things I want to grow. So I want you guys to understand the big thing from this episode and from what you're listening to and what you'll hear from me in the next 5 to 6 weeks is it's not about me. It's not about what I've done. Because what I've done is nothing compared to what the guests on the show are going to bring and what they're going to give the ideas from. And like I said at the beginning, when I listen to podcasts, when I listen to other people in the insurance industry, and when I have conversations with my mentors in the insurance industry, that's the one thing that makes this thing fun and exciting is you will never know enough. You will never be perfect in the industry. You will never know enough people. You will never know anyone or everybody. And you sit back and think, wow. And that's correct. And that's one thing that I've accepted is there's more to this industry than just writing that premium account. Yes, at the end of the day, we have one goal. It's to become the best independent insurance agent that we can. And if that's not on your mind or on the forefront of what your goals and aspirations are, is to become the best independent insurance agent you can possibly be, you might be in the wrong business profession. Because that's what our goals are. That's what my goals are. At the end of the day, the other people that we're listening to on these podcasts, like Cass, like Bradley Flowers, like Caitlin Agar, like Ryan Hanley, like David Carruthers, it's because they want to give back to us agents and to give us the keys to success that's gotten them where they are. Doesn't mean one way is different or one way is correct and the others are wrong. We're all made up differently. We're all wired differently. And that's what makes us unique. It's just finding what works for you and hearing the stories from other independent agents across the country and learning from them is what makes you grasp a hold of what is it that I can do to make Mitch Gibson the best independent agent. And you grasp a hold of that and you run with it. You should have nothing but success. You got to be passionate about it. Before I hopped on this episode and recorded this, I had a sweatshirt on that says passion across it because that is something that I believe in every single day. If you don't have passion about what you're doing, who you're in a relationship with, you're not passionate about your children, you're not passionate about your job, you're not passionate about your community, you need to rethink what makes you passionate, what makes you happy, and go after it and go get it. And that's what all these guests that I'm going to have on the show, that I'm going to interview to help you as the insurance agents out there in the world, loyal listeners, I'm having them on the show so they can share their stories and what's given them some success that's helped them get success, whether it's having mentors that's given them the book to success, whether it's getting ideas from other independent agents, whether it's listening to podcasts, whether it's their father built the agency back in 1936 and he is taking over it now as the son. We all learn different ways. It's just finding that ways that we can learn and become better that makes it sticky to us. And when we identify that and we take action and go and do it, that's when it'll start working for you. And it started working for me. Okay? We'll get into that here in a few minutes, and you'll hear my story as long, through the episodes that you listen to. If you haven't heard my episode with Jason Cass back in December of 2020, go back and listen to that. You'll learn a little bit more about me and what I'm doing, a little bit about myself. And he was wanting to know my story, because I guarantee you Cass learned something from it. I learned stuff from Cass during that episode. I'm learning stuff every single day, guys, from other independent agents like yourself. And I don't ever want you guys to think you can't reach out. Because if you don't reach out to me, there's might be a chance I reach out to you because I want to learn. I want to become the best Mitch Gibson as an independent insurance agent there could possibly be. So when I finish up and I retire, I look back and I say, I gave that my all. And I thank XYZ, ABCD, whoever it is, for giving me that path. Give me that platform to be the best Mitch Gibson. And that's why this industry is so fun. And if this is the first time you're listening to an agency intelligence podcast and you wonder, is the insurance industry what I want to do? You've got to give it time, people. You've got to give it time. I know the principal owner that I work for, he said give it 3 years before you decide if it's what you want to do the rest of your career. Well, people, I've given it 3 years. In December of 2020, I told him this is what I want to do for the rest of my career. Whether it's as an agent, whether it's whatever it is. I want to be in the insurance industry the rest of my career. It's truly because the last year and a half, I've surrounded myself and connected with other insurance professionals in the world that has made it so fun and exciting for me to open up my eyes to other opportunities and other ways and other keys on being successful as a young agent, or even an agent that's been in the business for 20 years. Things change. Things evolve. You guys hear it all the time. The industry is changing consistently. So what is it that you can do to help yourself change and evolve with the industry and become the best version of yourself as the independent agent? And I hope that makes sense, because it does to me, and it did to me a year and a half ago when I had a conversation with an agent and a really well-known person in the industry. We'll get into that as we go on through this episode right here. But kind of some topics. So me guest hosting the show, when Jason asked me, I was ecstatic. I can't thank the guy enough. I can't thank him and his team enough. They've made this process so fun, so easy, and at the end of the day, it's just me asking questions to other independent agents. They make the show turn out the way it is. We just followed the formula. We ask the questions. We have those conversations. And that's what I challenge you. Just have other conversations with other independent agents. You will learn something. There's not a person that I'm not going to have on the show that I haven't learned something from at all yet. I have learned 5 or 6 different things from every guest I've had. Whether that was a pre-show talk, or whether that was interviewing on the show. I can tell you right now, I've got a file for it on my desktop of my laptop where I've recorded these episodes. And it is literally nothing but topics that I have gained and notes that I have taken by listening to these people talk, because they're inspirational. They're inspirational people. They may not be to you. They were inspirational to me, and they still are to this day. And we all have one main goal: help one another and to help this industry grow and strive and be one of the best professions that someone can get into for the longevity of their career, and give and add value to themselves, their communities, their families, the agencies that they represent. So you're going to hear, like I said, you're going to hear amongst of many different stories that we have here. I will tell you, there's a guy that's not in the insurance business, okay? He was at one point in his career. But he has a great story on work-life balance and why we are all wired differently as individuals, and what we have to do to understand why we're wired differently. What is it that is our genetic makeup that makes us so daggone good at being us and going and executing that into the real world? That's one topic that we'll talk about. And his work-life balance and how it affects his daily activities compared to me, other people he speaks to, other speaking engagements that he talks about, whether it was a story that he had back when he was in the insurance industry, before he started managing and financially investing into smaller businesses and helping them grow. He's got a hell of a lot of stories, guys, that I cannot wait for you guys to listen. That's going to kickstart my shows, is having this gentleman on, a guy by the name of Todd Saylor. Todd's phenomenal. Todd is one sharp individual, and I encourage you to follow him and listen to what he has to say, because he brings some amazing topics, and he is somebody that I listen to daily. Whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a Facebook Live that he's got, whatever it is, he helps me wake up every morning and think that I'm going to go kill the day. And I usually do, because of guys like that. So we'll talk a little bit about work-life balance. What makes us wired differently? What makes you different from somebody else that you can be better to help give back, and in return, let them be successful? That's a phenomenal topic, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that. We'll talk a lot about developing niche market podcasts, whether that's a local podcast, whether that's somebody in the insurance business that wants to talk directly towards contractors, whatever it might be. But I think niche market podcasts, and I know I'm not the only one that says this on insurance podcasts across the country, starting your own niche market podcast has got to be a goal for 2021, if not 2022. Get the mind thinking of how I can use a niche market podcast to help me become a better insurance professional. And I just told you a few minutes ago, having conversations with other independent agents, just doing that can make you more knowledgeable about the insurance game, and in return, help you write more business and help you build more authority. And I think that's where it gets to, guys, is when I say building the authority, that's what a niche market podcast can help you do, is help build that authority of who you are, what you do, what you're about. But it starts with your brand. If you don't know who you are, You don't know who Mitch Gibson is, or you don't know who John Smith is. You need to figure out who John Smith is and what John Smith's characteristics are and what his goals, aspirations are before you're able to reach out to other people and give that advice. You've got to know who you are. You've got to share your story. We all have a unique story. Everybody in this world has a unique story. We've all been through tough times. We've all been through great times. Successful, relationship-wise, sports, whatever it might be. We've all got stories. There's so many people that you walk past, you drive past, that you do business with in the day-to-day world that have a phenomenal story that can be impactful to yourself or even other people that are listening to your show. So by starting a niche market local podcast, that helps you build your brand. It helps you build authority in your community of what you're doing, what you're about, and who you are. For me, I want people to know who Mitch Gibson is and what Mitch Gibson's about, so they know who they're doing business with on the front end of when they call for a quote. And that's extremely important. Extremely important is building that authority. I'm not the only one that says it. I know Cass says it up and down on every single one of his shows. You're trying to build your authority and your brand. And when I say a year and a half ago I didn't know who I was and what I should be doing, it all started with that. It all started with someone telling me that. And I will shout his name out. And I'm very passionate about this individual and for the selfless time he's taken to give me advice and point me down the right direction. Mr. Bradley Flowers, I can't thank you enough. Bradley told me back in January of 2020, start a niche market podcast, locally, highlighting local businesses in your community. What does that mean to you? A lot of you think, oh, time takes too much time. Other people think, I've done nothing behind a microphone or a camera before. Well, guys, let me tell you, just try it out. Just start it. Ask for help. And we'll get into that here in a second about asking for help and finding mentors. But I have a couple of guests that have started their own niche market podcast and that are doing wonderful things. It's done amazing things for me in the prospecting world. It's done amazing things for me building authority in my community by starting a podcast that has nothing to do with insurance. And in return, it's helped me write more business. And I think that you'll get a lot out of that when you listen to the couple different episodes that I've got talking about their niche marketing podcast. Next thing we're going to talk about in another couple episodes is how the importance of being creative when creating content. For me, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I was just gotten started, I thought being creative and making social media content was talking about how you can save 15% or more on car insurance. And here's a little graphic of what we can do. We write home auto and umbrella insurance, and we also write commercial auto insurance, workers' comp, whatever it is. That's not what I'm talking about when we say be creative. It all goes back to, again, when we're being creative, making content, we've got to be authentic. So 1, be authentic. 2, have a purpose behind it. And 3, build the authority. They want to see what you're doing. They want to see who you are. And loyal listeners, when I say want to see who you are, they do. Your people, your customers and prospects out in the world want to see what in the heck you're doing outside of 9 to 5. People are going to always want insurance quotes. People are always going to need that because they're going to be price shopping. But be that guy that they come to you and never leave because they love who you are as that agent and who you are as that person or who you are as that community leader. Being a community leader is huge, especially in the insurance game. It's not always about just donating and giving. It's about adding value to the community. When I started my local podcast, it didn't click to me until after I shot a couple episodes of what Mr. Bradley Flowers was telling me to do. And I was adding value to the community. I was adding value to these local businesses. And it just so happened to be when coronavirus hit and they were all struggling. So learning about those businesses and helping create content behind my episodes after interviewing the local coffee shop and learning about him and what he's about. And to say, hey guys, during this COVID-19 pandemic, all these local businesses are going through struggles. People aren't able to come in here and sit down and have a cup of coffee. Let's all gather around and support this local business. And here's how you can do A, B, C. Here's the 3 ways. 1, 2, 3. That's adding value. You're adding value to the community, and you're not doing anything talking about insurance at all. The insurance piece is important because you still got to execute, perform, and keep your word for what you're going to write, how you're going to present the proposal, how you're going to present the business, and how you're going to, at the end of the day, how you're going to service the account moving forward for years to come and keep that retention where it needs to be. But adding value to your community is so important. And it starts with you and who you are. Next guy I will have on the show too is that he's another Indiana born and raised guy, and he went to college in Indiana, and he resides up in Rensselaer, Indiana, still to this day. I think he's got a business, or his office is in Valparaiso. Ben Zimmer from Ethos Insurance. Ben's a guy that's been around the business for 20, 25 years. He's been with the Big I on the youth board, just developing agents to help them become better, and he's giving back. But he talks so much all the time on all of his platforms. And when I've talked to him throughout the last 2 months, just kind of mentoring back and forth and having him help me out and just give me some words of encouragement and give me some advice down the road. And he talks about how there's so many people out there that are scared to ask for help. And they might have a mentor, but they don't have the right mentor for them. And I know we always talk about a great deal of networking within or outside of our industry. I think it's more important to network with people inside of your industry. It's so important to network with other agents in the independent agency world, especially those that have been there and done it for the last 15, 20, 25 years of their career. Those are the people I want to talk to. Those are the people I want to learn from. And so should you. Ben talks a great deal of that, and I respect Ben immensely. And he is one exceptional individual. And I think you'll really love that show when we talk about the growth of young agents, tips, ideas, and not being afraid to ask for help and advice to having a clear future path of your career. Like I said, we'll have the Niche Marketing Podcast talking about being creative with content and having effective strategies to do that. We'll talk about the work-life balance piece and using your wired differently genetic makeup to your advantage to become a better individual and a better person for yourself, for your community, for your family, for your job, and all around a better independent agent. That's extremely important. Another guy I'm going to have on the show, another guy similar to my age. Actually, I think he graduated in 2014 from high school the same year that I did, and I didn't realize this, and this is how small the insurance world is, people. It was me being on, it was either Insurance Town or being on Cass's Agency Intelligence podcast, the one you're listening to right here, loyal listeners. He reached out to me and realized that we live about 10 minutes from each other. And he's doing something similar. He started a local niche marketing podcast to a neighboring county. I'm doing one in my county. He's doing one in his county. And they literally are butted right up to each other. I had no idea who the guy was. And he reached out to me and wanted to talk to me about what I'm doing in my podcast to help me strum up more business and using it as a prospect tool, and what I'm doing to help build authority in my community and build authority for myself, which in return builds authority and builds that brand up for myself and the agency that I work with. I'm going to have him on the show to help him, or to have him explain to you, loyal listeners, and to you, maybe some of you young agents out there or other agents in the industry that are looking for that ways to pop into, I guess, the big wow factor for 2021. And I'm going to go to my grave saying, if you didn't start the Niche Market Podcast or local niche podcast in your community, I'd say that's probably a big step. Huge step. I didn't believe the results until it actually happened. And I'm not just saying that because everybody else does. I'm saying it because it actually worked for somebody who was given that advice. And I'm going to have him on the show to have him explain his passion behind what he is doing from a guy that I didn't even know existed, and he lives 10 minutes up the road. I should know those people. Those are the people I need to know. Those are the people I want to get to know so we can continue to be better independent agents together. And that's where it comes down to. Build the authority, build your brand so people know who they're buying the insurance from. Be creative, be authentic, and most importantly, be you. Be you. Be passionate about yourself. Be passionate about your beliefs. And be passionate about adding value to other people. That will help you tremendously. When I decided I'm going to start trying to find ways to add value to my community, to my customers, to prospects, to other professional business people, it doesn't matter who they are, adding value is the key to success for you 2021. And all of these guests that I'm having on the show have all done that the last 15, 20 years. They've figured out a way to add value to what their niche is, who they're trying to target, what it is they want to get out of adding the value. You've got to give and you've got to add value to people for them to understand who you are and for them to look into who you are. And I'll leave it with this. When one guest I had, Ryan had an example too when he was out in the community and someone saw him and said, "Hey, you're the guy from Goosehead Insurance." All because of a piece of social media content that had nothing to do with insurance at all. But when I have Mike Lewis on the show, and Mike's from Ossian, Indiana, Archbold and Lewis Insurance, he does something every week. It's a bad dad joke of the day. When he goes to dinner with his wife and kids, and someone who he does not know and hasn't seen at all says, "Oh, you're that bad dad joke of the day guy, aren't you?" And he has a huge smile on his face. He knew one thing. He added value, not talking about insurance. He added value. Someone looked up who he was, what he did, and they found out that he was in the insurance industry. Because he was being authentic, he was being unique, and he was being himself in his community. And in return, people noticed it. And that's who people want to do business with. People want to do business with that person that they know most about. That person, and I say know most about, it better be positive stuff. I know we all get it. We've all failed in some ways in life as we get going. I know it's not going to be the last time that I ever go through failures and some trials and tribulations. But be that guy or be that woman that they notice you and people in the community notice you because you're being yourself, you're being authentic, and at the end of the day, you care, you add value to your community, your customers, your family. And most importantly, you're adding value to the insurance industry for all the agents that are on the forefront coming our way in the industry. It all starts with us, the independent agent, out in the world. And I appreciate every single one of you loyal listeners listening in. I appreciate you so much. And I can't thank Jason Cass and the Agency Intelligence Podcast once again for giving me the platform and the opportunity to share stories not only for myself, but of other independent agents in the world of insurance that are out doing great things in the world, in their communities, in their towns. That's helping them build their authority for themselves, their agencies, their families, their community, and becoming the best possible insurance agent of themselves. And it starts with you and us, others in the insurance industry. And for that's what I mean when I close my shows and say, you can make a difference. The God's honest truth. There's only one person that has the opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life, and that's yourself. You can't depend on other people. You can't depend on someone else. You've got to depend on yourself to make a difference. And you have the ability to do that. We're wired differently, people. We're all wired differently. And you, as the agent, have the ability to make a difference in someone's life today. And that's my challenge. As we go into 2021, this whole year, challenge yourself to make a difference in someone's life every single day. Make a difference in your community. And in return, good things will happen for you and for your insurance career, as long as you're passionate about it and you're eager to become a better agent and take advice and you're not afraid to ask for help. I can't wait for you guys to hear these episodes and these interviews that I've got of guys coming down the line, and the lineup has got me actually got my hands kind of got the chills right now, guys. I got the chills because I've learned so much from these individuals, and it's guys like you, it's other loyal listeners like yourself that make this industry fun. And like I said, I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it. Feel free to ever reach out to me if you have any questions. I look forward to helping you guys out in the future years to come. I'm not going anywhere. The industry is where my love is at and my passion is in the insurance industry. And if I can give back anything at all and help out, answer any questions you guys may have, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. You can find me on social media. Instagram, I've got a couple different pages. Mitch R. Gibson. You can also find me, Mitch_Gibson24. That's more of my personal page, I guess, per se, even though they kind of cross-reference each other. And then check out my podcast, my local niche market podcast called Inside Hancock County with Mitch Gibson, if you guys want a better, I guess, feel for what I'm talking about when I say your local niche market podcast. I love what I'm doing. I love the insurance industry. I love my family, love my kids. And guys, this is the best time for you to step up your game and become the best insurance agent and become the best version of yourself. And for that, can't wait for you guys to hear these stories. Don't ever hesitate to reach out, and always remember that you can make a difference, independent agencies. You can make a difference, independent agents, and you can make a difference in your towns, your communities, and for yourself and your family. Take care, everybody. Have a phenomenal 2021. Hope you all enjoy the show. Take care.